Hi, I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which brings you the big G for the gospel of Jesus Christ and the little g, all the good things that people do to put the gospel of life into action. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a lady that is local to Collier County. So she is within my very backyard. And she has an issue that is crying to heaven, and it needs to be addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't usually think of these things happening in beautiful Naples or in beautiful Collier County, but they do. And you say, well, what is Father O talking about today? I am talking to you about sex trafficking. Sex trafficking. Now, we've had other programs regarding sex trafficking. Horrible. It's horrible. It's putting human beings as chattel slavery. But what I wanted to do today is to have Lisa come on. She is the president of the Collier County Citizens Against Sex Trafficking. And because it is so local, I want her to make it very local, to be as specific as she can be as to what is going on, why is it going on here, who is working to put it to an end here, and maybe who are some of the perpetrators that we should be aware of. And then, of course, what can we do, you and me, to put an end to sex trafficking in Collier County. So Lisa, welcome to the program. You have a very, very, well, it's kind of a horrible job working with something so vile and despicable and degrading to human beings like sex trafficking, and you're trying to heighten awareness and to put an end to it. Lisa, first of all, how did you get involved in this?
Oh my. So, like I was telling you before, prior to this, I had been asking Holy Spirit to use me for something for the greater good, for God's will. I had been praying this every single day. Holy Spirit, fill my mind, my heart, my body, my soul with your will, and use me as a vessel for your greater works. And he answered that. So lesson is, please make sure you know what you ask for.
Folks, I got to comment on this. You know, Lisa's 100% right. We should, of course, pray to the Holy Spirit that he guides us as disciples of Christ. We all have a mission, and we have to ask the Holy Spirit to sometimes ask him how he wants to use us to do God's work here on earth. And sometimes he's going to come back with something you're going to say, huh? Me? Do that? Right, Lise? Yeah. And this, yeah, okay. So Holy Spirit then spoke to you. And then what happened? The lights went off in your head and you say, uh-oh.
What did I do? Yeah. So this started back in March. There was actually a post that was made on Facebook by Bill Oppenheimer and Teddy Collins. They're directors on Action for Life. And the post
on the board. They're on the board, folks.
They're on the board, in case anyone didn't know. You knew that. They had a post on, excuse me, on Facebook regarding illicit massage parlors in Naples. And I commented on there as well as a couple of other people. And then I said, well, you know what? We don't have the answers, because I think a lot of the issues that we have today continue because we as humans try to find the answers, but we don't have them. We need to look to above. We need to look to him. So I said, why don't we put together a prayer event in front of the courthouse steps? We'll invite other people and we'll go out there and we will pray on it. Ask God, what is it that we can do to shed light on this problem? And so I put that together on Facebook and LinkedIn and a couple of other social media sites. And we got about a dozen people that showed up. We also had some signs that were donated, and they said something along the lines of sex trafficking should not be a tourism attraction. So we all held our signs and we stood out there, and Teddy led us in prayer. I had invited Wink News and a few other people. I invited everyone.
Okay, let me tell you, folks, she said, Lisa says 12 people showed up. Remember, that's how Jesus started the church, 12 apostles. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, he is present there. So 12 folks show up, okay? You invited the media. Did media show up?
Yes, Wink News was there. I was shocked to see Wink News there. And we were interviewed, Teddy and I, by this very nice young reporter. And she did a great story. She reached out to the sheriff's department. They made a statement. And then it kind of just took off from there. Teddy and Bill were unable to, they're doing so many other wonderful things. And I said, I will take this and I will run with it. I didn't want it to just lay on the ground, so to speak. So I took it and ran with it. And I did what I do best, which is a lot of social media interaction. I had built up a pretty big following at the beginning of COVID. And I want to say I've always been close to God. I've gone through many traumatic experiences in my life.
Like what? You had traumatic experiences in your life that kind of prepared you for this ministry? Like what?
So many health conditions, but not just that. I also am a survivor of domestic violence. I lived at the Shelter for Abused Women and Children here in Naples for 3 months back in late 2014 into early 2015, left a very abusive relationship of 17 years, lived there with my three children, nothing, no clothes, just what we had on our backs, no money. And through the shelter's help, I was able to rebuild my life. But every single day in that shelter at night, I would cry out to the Lord for help. And I overcame that. I came out of there. I went to school, got a job, and bought my own car, actually bought a townhouse, and made sure that I did all of those things of my own accord. And looking back, none of that was possible without his grace. None of it. I couldn't have done that on my own. So
you had like a comeback experience. You were abused. Okay, and that gave you the strength to rebuild your life at the Shelter for Women, and now you're saying that prepared you to work on this ministry, which certainly we are dealing with abused women. And I'm told there are even abused men, boys, that are part of this sex trafficking, okay? Correct. Could you tell us what you decided to do? I mean, where do you begin? You had your rally with Teddy, okay? Yeah. And then what did you do?
After that, we just decided we're going to start having meetings. So I invited people to come to, originally we were having them at the Fire Commissioner Chambers on Collier Boulevard, just getting people together. And it's funny that you asked that question, because I said to my husband at the time, I don't know what I'm doing. It just seems to keep occurring that I'm connecting with individuals and growing a group. And then I asked the Lord, okay, Lord, I've got this group. Now what do I say to them? What do I do? And every time I reach out to someone, they immediately answer. So the goal of the group, I mean, I have a mission statement. If I can read that to you, I'll let you know what our group's mission statement is.
Okay, give us the mission statement.
Okay, so it's Florida is third in the nation with the highest amounts of human trafficking, the entire state.
Holy cow, third in the nation. My
third
gosh,
in the nation. Our purpose is bringing focus on education geared towards prevention and eventual eradication of sex trafficking. Through networking and partnerships with citizen groups, we will leverage our united voices, which will in turn impact real change. And of course, at the beginning of every meeting, we also like to open in prayer. I don't want to, the focus needs to be on him. It's Jesus. He is the one leading the way. We don't have the answers. I don't have the answers, but all I know is that through him, I am making connections with people that I didn't think would ever be possible. I've just recently connected with the director of ICE under the former Trump administration. I was able to get training for our officers here in Naples. They're coming in February. These people that I'm talking about, they're officers who do human trafficking training for police, and they have just been hired to train Interpol.
You're telling me that you are going to be sponsoring a program for the local sheriff's department here.
Correct.
And the response coming from the sheriff's department was, yes, we're sending officers.
Yes, we have one-on-one communication now with Sheriff Rambosk. He's very open to the help that we've been giving them. He wanted to know, how did you find these people? The head of human trafficking here, Sergeant Wade Williams, he said, we looked into this guy. He's legit. He's the real deal. We've been needing something like this. How did you find him? And I said, I have no idea. I connected with him on LinkedIn, and we communicated over the phone quite a few times, and I told him that I want to do what I need to do to take care of Collier. In other words, this is a huge problem everywhere across the entire globe. We know sex trafficking is a huge problem, but what we can do is handle it in our own backyard. So if we can get something going in Collier, this is the vision that I have, we can be the spark. And then perhaps other communities will say, well, Lisa, what did you do? Collier's just seeing these great things. You have officers that are trained. You've got citizens that are trained. How did you do this? And what I foresee is going out and perhaps showing what we are doing here, having a plan and implementing it in other areas and getting them started. And then that spark will turn into a brush fire. And that wasn't originally my thought. I want to give credit to Dr. Bergman on that thought also, because he's the one that said spark and spread the fire. So I like to give credit where credit's due. So that's Dr. Bergman.
Okay. I want to ask you, though, how bad is the problem right here in Collier?
So I don't have specifics on numbers here in Collier. I will say that Dan Nash, who's the founder of the Human Trafficking Training Institute, that's the officer that's coming with Allison Phillips to train our officers here. He said, wherever you have people, you have trafficking. It's the largest, it's way ahead of drugs. We thought drugs were our problem. It's not. A drug is sold, and then the drug trafficker has to go and get another drug. And he has to go to whatever steps he has to go through to restock what he's selling, correct? But a human can be trafficked over and over and over and over again. And some of these girls, from what I've learned, are being sold anywhere between 30 and 50 times a night, every 15 minutes.
Oh my God. And where are they getting these girls? Where are they coming from? Where? South America, Central America, locally, Mexico, where?
They can be girls from anywhere. Right now, with our open borders, only God knows what's going on. I will say that when I spoke with Sergeant Wade Williams just a few days ago out in Immokalee, they don't have to advertise. What they do is they'll have girls in trailers, and it just becomes word of mouth within the community. So they'll have a couple of girls in a trailer, and the farm workers will come through every 15 minutes. And these girls, statistics show that their survival is only 7 years.
Oh, dear God, have mercy on us. Okay, look, we're going to take a break. I need a break after this, and we'll be right back. We would like to thank our generous sponsors for their wonderful support. Okay, we're back. I've got to ask you now, you have this program that's coming to Naples. The Sheriff's Department is going to participate. I want to know, how many officers do you anticipate coming?
Right now, I think it's 200 plus officers that Dan and Allison can train. And then after that, that program, I was originally going to gift that to the county. And when I say that, we're starting 501c3. And what I had anticipated doing was paying for the training through donations that I would collect and saying, Sheriff Rambosk, this is for you. I've already set up the training dates and decide which officers you'd like to send. But Sheriff Rambosk said he doesn't need that funding, that they've got the funding. So that first training is all set. I don't know how much I can say beyond that because there's some things that we've spoken about that Sheriff might not want me to talk about yet, but he's very excited about that initial training. And there's been discussion about some further training. I can tell you though, that what I'm working on is citizen training. So Dan and Allison, again, from the Human Trafficking Training Institute, had started a citizen training that lasts 8 hours. But they're not doing that right now because they're focused on police. They're traveling the entire country. And then again, like I said, Interpol. So he has offered to work that with me. So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to be condensing his training as well as I can into an 1.5 hour training. And he'll work on that with me. And then I will be offering that to the community, churches, clubs, wherever. I want to get Collier to know how to recognize the signs. I want to know how to recognize the signs.
Yeah, me too. Let me just say this. Do you know what the program is going to consist of? I mean, what is the outline that they're going to focus on with the officers?
Okay.
Oh, with the officers. Theirs
Yeah.
is a skills-based
Okay.
training. I don't have all the specifics. The sheriff's department did understand. It was a very advanced. It's not your basic training. And unfortunately, officers. Here's another tidbit that not many people know about. Officers when they're in the academy, they don't get human trafficking training, if at all. It's maybe 1 to 2 hours is discussed about it, and that's it. So when we have officers out on the street that are responding to calls and they're missing subtle keys, subtle points that they could be rescuing someone. It's not obvious, okay, this person's being trafficked. There's subtleties that need to be recognized. And that's what's going to be in the skills-based training. And then also how to speak to a victim, because a victim is not a perpetrator. Officers are schooled on how to interview a criminal or how to interview a perpetrator, but they're not trained and skilled on how to speak to victims.
So you see, folks, sometimes, an officer might go to a crime scene and think that that person is a perpetrator. Let's just say someone who seems to be a prostitute. Would I be correct on this? And then you find out, well, if the officer is perceptive, well, wait a minute, this might not just be a simple case of prostitution. This person may be a sex slave and is working for a pimp, and may have been hoodwinked into coming into the grasp of a sex trafficking organization. Am I correct on this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then what we hope to do is that the officers will be sensitized to say, let me go a step further. Okay. Okay. What else is going to take place in the training as far as you can tell us right now?
It's a 2-day training. It's an intensive training. Again, I'm not privy to all of that training because I'm not an officer, but I will be privy to the citizen training, and I'm super excited about that.
We talked earlier about these people, this organization that you got in touch with. Could you give us their name again, or the name of the organization?
Sure. It's the Human Trafficking Training Institute, and the founders are Dan Nash and Allison Phillips.
Okay, so they've done workshops in other places.
Correct. They're training across the country. And what happened was when I first started talking to them, I wasn't yet in with the sheriff, so to speak. I was still doing my group thing, posting. Well, I believe they being the sheriff's office, were seeing what I was doing online and watching what I was doing and realizing that I was gathering a crowd, that I was having influence. So even before the sheriff agreed to this training, I will let you know that I had already booked the training.
You just went ahead and did it, and you'll say, well, I'll say I'm sorry later if anybody gets mad.
Well, I figured it was a beautiful gift. Remember, I planned on finding some way to pay for that training myself.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure we were on the books.
Could I ask you what it yeah, you're paying for it. Your organization, or you personally?
No, not me. I wish I was able to. No, not me. I planned on gathering donations through the 501c3 that we filed for to then be able to pay for it. But at this point, Sheriff Ramboss.
Right, the sheriff's going to take care of it because he's got the budget. He's got the budget. He's a good guy. I like the sheriff. He's a nice guy. And okay, so could you tell us, what does it cost? Now I sound like Joe Biden. What does it cost?
I don't think that that's private information, but it's $10,000.
Oh, boy. Okay, well.
And that's for 2 days.
Hey, folks, you can't beat that. And if you want to contribute, I mean, you can contribute to Lisa's organization, and you get past the 2 days training. But there are plenty of other things that Lisa's organization, Collier County Citizens Against Sex Trafficking, will do with that money. Now, let me ask you another question. So the police are going to these 2-day events on the sheriff's dime, and then you're going to have something for citizens. Yes, private for citizens. All right. Same group is going to talk to private citizens.
Correct. That would be our group would be talking to private citizens. So myself. So I'll be putting together a slideshow, a presentation, which I'm learning how to do all of this. By the way, this is not my wheelhouse, so to speak. But I'm learning.
Well, Holy Spirit will teach you how to do it. Holy Spirit will teach you how to do it.
He's showing me. He really is, Lord. But I do want to say that originally, when I first said I'm going to move out and run with this, I started looking online, researching. There's got to be people or organizations or somewhere to reach out that somebody's handling this already in Collier. Well, there really wasn't. And I will tell you, I looked on Ashley Moody's site, our state attorney general, and I scrolled down and I found Southwest Florida Coalition Against Human Trafficking. They're the only thing that I could find, and they cover 5 counties. And I just thought that was unfortunate, because how can one organization cover 5 counties? So I reached out to volunteer with them and found that there was only one gentleman who does not live here year round. He resides in the mountains of North Carolina in the summer, who would go around doing a basic human trafficking training. So I just wanted to do more. I knew that something more had to be done other than that. And that was when I found Dan Nash.
Okay. Now, when you have this citizens training, how are people going to find out about it? How many people can come? Where is it going to be? When is it going to be? Do you have that information?
Right now, I don't have that information. Those are all fantastic questions, and I will have answers to those. But right now, I'm in the middle of taking the training myself. And doing the training also with a board member that I brought on, Michelle Albergo. So we're going to be doing that together, taking the training. Again, it's an 8-hour online training, and then figuring out how to condense that into 1.5 hours. Now, if there are people who would want to do the 8-hour training at the end of the initial 1.5, they can always reach out to me, and Dan and I have discussed maybe some other way of citizens who want to deep dive like I am. They can possibly take that training through Dan.
You see why I'm asking this, Lisa, and folks out there, why I'm asking this is, first of all, I want people to get involved in this. But secondly, Action for Life, the organization Action for Life, has a broad umbrella. It's not simply that Action for Life is anti-abortion, but anti-abortion kind of moved us on to the bigger picture of the gospel of life, and how human life at every stage, in every circumstance, is sacred, is important. So I'm going to ask you, Lisa, suppose we send some board members to come to the meetings. Be a good idea, wouldn't it?
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and you could work along with Action for Life. We could support your organization. We could get reports about what is going on. Make sure Teddy knows about Bill Oppenheimer. These are great guys that got involved with you. And we have a lot of great people that, they want to do something, like you pray to the Holy Spirit. People are going to watch this program and they're going to say, hey, I want to get on board with that. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you how magnanimous I am. If you're from Lee County, we'll let you into Collier County to take the course. Holy cow, I just made an invitation on Lisa's behalf. Okay, when you have this police training, the sheriff's office training, when do you know when that's going to be?
That's going to be in February. It's the third week of February. I believe it's the 21st through the 22nd, but it's definitely February. That was the next opening that Dan had. That's why I jumped on it, because they were just booking across the country, and I wanted to make sure that Naples, that Collier was on that list.
Well, you think that Sheriff Rambos would let me attend? Hey, Sheriff, it's me. We know each other a long time, okay? Under Sheriff Jim Bloom, guys, if I'm available, may I please come in? I'd like to see this training for the Sheriff's Department. Again, I invited myself someplace. We'll see how the sheriff responds. Sheriff Rambos, I know that Sheriff Mercino would let me in. Hey, how are things going though right now? In the county, is the sex trafficking like something that is obvious? Is it something that's growing? Is it something that the police are on continually, because it's kind of disgusting? What can we do right now?
So I would have people, of course, look into joining our group. And when I say joining our group, it's informational meetings. We've had wonderful people come out. And like I said, I want to be the educational aspect, because we do have resources that help victims once they've been rescued. But it would be wonderful if we could stop people from being taken advantage of. I would love to see training too for parents with children. Kind of got off course there. But what we can do is get involved, learn, research. Instead of watching Netflix and television shows, which, I by trade, I'm a hairstylist, so I hear a lot of things.
Very nice hair. You like my haircut? I got a nice haircut too. I get it from Bellezza Salon. My personal stylist is Michael. That's a commercial, folks. Hey, Lisa, you've been absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa's for action, I'm for action, and I know you are too. Thanks for watching. Please join us next time for Action for Life. I'm for action, and I hope you are too. I'm Father Michael Orsi. I am your host for Action for Life Television, that good news program which talks about the gospel of Jesus Christ, the big G, and the little g, all the good things that people are doing to put the gospel of life into action. So please join us for the next episode of Action for Life.